Hi, I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times. On Friday, May the 22nd, it's Memorial Day weekend. That means it's Riverfest weekend in Little Rock, and so if you head downtown to Little Rock over this weekend, expect to meet a crowd, especially if the nice weather we're having today holds. On to Arkansas news headlines. The news at our place and all over is about Duggars and more Duggars. There are a lot of Duggars. As you know, Jim Bob Duggar and Michelle Duggar have 19 kids. They've used that to find fame and fortune with their reality TV show, 19 Kids and Counting. Explosive news this week developed by a magazine called In Touch. They got a tip. They produced a police report that showed in 2006 the Springdale police had looked into charges of multiple cases of child sexual molestation by Josh Duggar, the oldest son of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, against young children, perhaps as young as somewhere between 2 and 6 years old, in the Duggar family house. At that time, there was no prosecution because the events that they investigated had occurred more than 3 years before, outside the statute of limitations time. The information was kept hidden. The Duggars didn't report the incidents to authorities at the time. Authorities were called in 2006 because of a tip received by the Oprah Winfrey TV show shortly before the Duggars were to appear. The Oprah show called the child abuse hotline. Police began investigating. Oprah canceled her show with the Duggars as a result. They've been trying to keep this stuff under wraps for years. There's a lawsuit that has been uncovered in Northwest Arkansas that Josh Duggar filed against the Department of Human Services, perhaps related to whether he may have been included on the child abuse registry. Don't know about that yet because that suit is confidential. A lot of things have happened. Josh Duggar was forced to resign from his job as the Family Research Council lobbyist in Washington. That's the anti-gay hate group that campaigns for the religious right on a variety of issues. TLC, which carries the Duggar TV show, has, for the time being at least, canceled it. There's not yet an indication from them on whether they will pick it back up again on a permanent basis, but some advertisers reportedly are already bridling it, participating in the show because what's come out. Child sexual molestation is a serious business. Duggar, by the way, says these were youthful mistakes and he's sorry for them. I think that a lot of people don't look at a teenage boy fondling sleeping girls as in the mistake category, but one prominent defender did emerge today, and that's Mike Huckabee, the presidential candidate who's used the Duggar family as campaign tools in the past. He said he's standing by his friends. He does characterize these as mistakes. He says the problem here is a bloodthirsty media, not any issues of child sexual molestation. I think there's a lot more to be heard about this story before it's over with. Elsewhere in town today, I'm expecting to receive before the day is out a cost-benefit analysis report of Governor Asa Hutchinson's plan to give Lockheed Martin $83 million to build a facility to build military vehicles down in Camden. Supposedly that report will show that over time, eventually this money will be paid back in the form of the economy benefits that come from jobs down there. Will be interesting to see because $83 million is going to come from a bond issue. That means it's going to cost the state probably $100 million or more in a direct subsidy to Lockheed, which is 9 times bigger than the state of Arkansas itself before it's over with. News dug up this morning by the Arkansas blog includes that State Treasurer Dennis Milligan has caused the payment of $30,000 to settle a lawsuit that was filed by somebody fired when he was Salene's circuit clerk. He says she was not a good employee. She says he fired her because she found out that he'd been using an office fax machine to fax, I think it was a horse racing report to someone, and he came up with a pretext to fire her because she wouldn't give the document back, and he'd sued her over this. That case was dismissed. She wound up in federal court. $30,000 is going to have to be paid. He was sued in his official capacity. This is going to be money paid by insurance, a self-insurance program for the county. They'll also be paying the attorney fees for Dennis Milligan. He didn't return my call for comment about yet another black mark on his record. A 57-year-old man in Little Rock was found dead in his home today in a house fire. Cause doesn't appear to be suspicious. Interesting small item about Denny Altes, the former state legislator from Fort Smith that Asa Hutchinson has appointed to be the state's drug czar. With no particular expertise, he was a waste hauler by trade. He had a bizarre legislative record. He said racist things in his past. Never been exactly clear why Asa Hutchinson gave him this job except just to put yet another Republican on the state payroll. A reader sent in to us that Denny Altes apparently has high taste. Back in 2013 when he was in the House of Representatives, a lobbyist for Clean Line Energy concern took Altus out to dinner. Guess what the tab was? $390. That's a lot of French fries and iced tea or something. Elsewhere, the Bentonville School Board is going to have an interesting meeting June the 1st. They're going to take up a complaint of cyberbullying by a parent of a student against a member of the school board, Rebecca Powers. Rebecca Powers posted some social media comments that were derogatory about a student. Her offense in Rebecca Powers' eyes was supporting a proposed policy to not discriminate against school district employees on grounds of sexual orientation. Powers happens to be one of these religious right types who thinks that you ought to have the legal ability to discriminate against gay people, and so she's taking it out on a child. Seems like a very strange thing for a member of a school board to do, to be castigating children in their district. Finally, I was interested that the Game and Fish Commission this week approved special low license fees for people age 65 and older, one of which I'm going to be June 10th. I appreciate the thought, but it brought this to mind. The Arkansas legislature recently passed a bill that prohibited local governments from creating protected classes of citizens, and a protected class would be somebody who's extended some forms of rights or benefits if they're not already protected by state law. Here's the rub. The state civil rights law does not provide protection on the basis of age. So if you set up a special fee for old people, you're creating a protected classification, it seems to me. That would seem to be illegal, at least on the local level, and most cities and counties do have special rates for old people like me. I think somebody ought to stop that. No special privileges for anybody, gay people, old people, or whatever. Finally, is there anything else except Riverfest? That's the big news. Oh, I do want you to take a look at my blog for one other thing. Mayor Mitch Landrieu of New Orleans reacting to Bobby Jindal's heated and crazy pronouncements in favor of discrimination against gay people. Jindal's issued an executive order to protect discrimination in Louisiana, has issued an executive order of his own declaring New Orleans a city that simply will not tolerate discrimination. He points out that New Orleans prohibits discrimination in all matters of employment and activities, and he says that that's the kind of city he wants New Orleans to be, and he intends this to send a message to the world that New Orleans, at least, is not like Bobby Jindal. We could wish for leaders like Mitch Landrieu here, that's for sure. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back after the Memorial Day has passed.